Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Meseches ARACHIN Daf Lamed Aleph. We begin at the Mishnah, which is 3 lines off the top of the Yom. Says the Heilige Mishnah, Moicher Bayis, if a fellow sells his home, he sells a house bebotei ARACHIN, inside a walled city in Eretz Yisrael. So it has special status in terms of the buyback procedure. So, unlike the buyback process related to the field sold in Eretz Yisrael, which we have discussed until now, where you have a 2-year mandatory wait period before you can buy it back, and ultimately it comes back to the owner come Yovel. So if he fails to buy it back until Yovel, based on that, prorated buyback formula based on the sale price and the years that have already passed since the sale took place. So if he fails to buy it back, comes Yovel, he gets it back completely. Not so by the Botei ARACHIN, the homes in the walled cities. There it's exactly the opposite. Hamoicher Bayis b'Botei ARACHIN harei ze goyel miyad. He has the option of buying it back right away. No need to wait. But there's a deadline. The window of opportunity to force a buyback only lasts exactly 12 months. V'goyel kol 12 chodesh. In which case, ARACHIN in rivers. It would seem to give him the impression of a ribis transaction. But really, in a ribis, it's not really ribis. Now, how would this relate to ribis? Why is this considered taking interest on a loan? There's no loan, it's a sale. Let's take a look at Rashi inside. 4 lines from the top. ARACHIN in ribis. How does this relate to ribis? So we have Reuven selling his house to Shimon. Let's pick a number for $1 million. Okay, so Reuven received that money from Shimon. And now, 6 months down the line, after Shimon had already lived in the house, as though it was his, right? Reuven comes back and buys it back for $1 million. So Shimon gets back his $1 million, which essentially were like a loan to Reuven. Turns out that it was really just a temporary transfer of funds. It's like a loan. So even though it was in the context of a sale, but ultimately the sale was revoked. So it's like he just lent him money. And now, in exchange for that loan, Shimon had dwelled in this home rent-free for 6 months, which is like an interest payment on that loan. Says Rashi, because when, in fact, Reuven returns that $1 million to Shimon, within the year of without deducting anything for Shimon's living in that home, it seems like Shimon was using that home for free in sort of a interest payment for the money that he loaned Reuven. But Rashi continues, it's not really formally ribis. The ribis lemikri lo de alva. Ribis is typically related to a loan, right? Ribis is interest on a loan. It's not a loan, de mecher, as opposed to a sale. But it gives the impression of ribis, but it's not really an issue. Continues the Mishnah. Meis hamoicher. Suppose Reuven, the seller, passed away. Can his son go and force a buyback? Yeah, Yigal B'nai, his son can do the same thing. Meis halakech, likewise, if Shimon the buyer passed away, Yigal Miyad B'nai, Reuven can approach his son and buy it back. Ein moinen loishana ela mishal shemachar. Suppose there were 2 sales. Reuven sold to Shimon, who flipped it to Levi. When does the year, clock start ticking? Mishal shemachar. It starts from the time of that first sale. So let's say he sold it to him Nisan, and then Shimon sold it to Levi Iyar. Come Nisan next year, year's up. How do we know that it's based on the first sale, not the second? Shneimar loy shana. Rashi says loy. It hinges on the seller, the one who had the actual ownership. So it relates to that first transaction. Why does the pasuk add shana tamima, a full year? So it covers the extension. Suppose it was a 13-month, lunar year, an extended year. So he gets an extra month to buy it back. Rabbi Omer litin lishana v'ipura. He says it's unrelated to, the lunar year. Actually, he says every year is a solar year, which means to say that whether in our calculations, right, the Torah is based on the lunar year calculation. So whether it's a 12 or 13-month year, we work with the full year as though it's a solar year. Rashi says, which means to say you add 11 days to your standard lunar year. So it works based on 365 days, which is a solar year. And that's what Tamima means. Tamima means a full year corresponding to the solar. Now, suppose 12 months are up and it was not bought back. Cholot means it's his permanently, it's his to keep. Even, past Yovel, it now belongs to Shimon permanently. And this whole system, this buyback option within the year, applies to a buyer and even to a person who received it as a gift. Right? If the benefactor had change of heart, wants to buy it back, wants to get it back, can do that, can force him to sell it back to him, even though he gifted it to him yesterday. Whether he bought it or he got it as a gift, could have said singular, it says sus, plural. We'll see in the Gemara, it covers even a matana. Now, in our Mishnah we learned that a bias and a batei rechaima can be bought back immediately. There's no need to wait at all. Masnisin like a Rebbe, unlike Rebbe, the son of Rebbe Omer, Pasuk says Yomim Tihya Gulasoi, which tells us you have to wait at least 2 days. Give him a taste of the house, and then you can buy it back. Ein Yomim Pachas Mishnai. Rabban Hayom Mayavli, what Rabban do with Yomim? They hold they can buy it back immediately. It's come to tell you that the 12-month buyback period is Miyayim Liyayim. Based on your days. Basically, it's not a calendar calculation. Suppose he sold it, Nisan, come Tishrei, the new year. No, the year's not up. It's based on your year, counting 12 months from the time of the actual sale. Yomim. Now, Rebbe, who used the word yamim to tell you that it needs to be a two-day mandatory wait period before buying it back. So how does he know this idea of miyam liyayim? That it's 12 full months from the time of the sale. Shnasm karai means his year. Rashi says relational minyan olam. So his year is up. It's not based on the calendar year. What do Rabbanan use that pasuk for? You're right. That pasuk is coming to tell you that it's based on his month, 12-month calculation, not on the calendar. The year is not based on minyan olam, on the calendar count. So in fact, they agreed to learn that halacha from this pasuk. So now, what do they do with Yamim, which previously was attached to this halacha? But if they learn this halacha from here, that's a personal year. So now Yamim is left over. V'Yamim ba'elahu l'meis la'eis. So Yamim is coming to tell you that it's up to up until the right hour. It means to say, let's say the sale took place first day of Nisan, 12 o'clock, lunchtime. When is the year up? Exactly 12 months later, first day of Nisan, at 12 o'clock, hour per hour. Because if only from that other pasuk, I would say, yeah, a full year in terms of days, but Is it based on the hours too? Right? Who says? Who said it has to be exactly the same hour? Because that's the addition with the word yamim, that it has to be full hours as well. No, Rabbi Meisla is minoli. How does Rabbi know this halacha? Because according to him, yamim is coming to teach us the other halacha. Nafkele mitmima. He says tmima, complete, whole, full, covers both aspects. Full 12 months. And also Meisla, to the day, to the hour. What do Rabbanon use the word tmima for? It's coming to add the extended month. If it happens to be an extended year, you add the 13th month as well. Doesn't Rabbi need it for that too? You're right. So how does he know? To the day, to the minute. They both learned from the same pasuk. According to Rabbi, they're both covered under the same pasuk. Both concepts are learned a complete and full year. Nafki learns it from there. So bottom line, we have at this point one machlekes here. According to Rabbi, from Yamim we learned that you have to give him at least 2 days, give him a taste of the house before you buy it back. Rabbanan disagree on that point. But all agree it's a full year, to the day, to the hour, right? Harei zukim in ribbis. Mishnah says it gives the impression of ribbis because of the fact that he had it rent free, and he gets all his money back. But it's not really ribbis, because as Rashi explains, it was part of a sale transaction. It wasn't really a loan. Tanya asks the Gemara. So in the Mishnah, we're not concerned about ribbis, and the Brisa is concerned. Harei zu ribbis Gemara. The Brisa says, actually, here's an example of real ribbis, bona fide ribbis. But the Torah made an exception and allowed it in this case. So which way is it? Is it fake ribbis, just an impression of ribbis, or is it real ribbis, which the Torah allowed in this case? Here's the answer. There are two different opinions. There's Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanon. The Mishnah, which says that it's okay, it's not really ribbis, that's Rabbi Yehuda's shita, who says that ribbis is only when it's a definite ribbis, not when it's just a possibility of it developing into ribbis, such as in our Mishnah, where he isn't necessarily going to buy it back. It's just it's called a tzad echad. There's one chance, one tzad, there's a chance. That's not really called ribbis. Whereas the Brisa, which was concerned, just that here it's an exception, and here it's mut, that's the Rabbanon who say that technically this is also ribbis, even though it's not a confirmed ribbis. It's just a possibility that it will turn into ribbis. But Rabbanon, the Sana, where do we find this machlekes? Regarding tzad echad, whether it's ribbis, the Sanya, say we have a fellow who actually borrowed. So Reuben had, lent Shimon $1 million. Noisha means he had a claim on his friend Mana, a certain amount. And Shimon says, look, I have no money now. Take my field as a mashkan, as a collateral. And, if I don't pay you within X amount of years, Rashi says 3 years, it's yours. Yours to keep. So it's still sort of pending. Possibly he'll pay him back and get his field back. Possibly he won't pay him back. The field will remain in the hands of Reuben. And the question is, what happens to the crop between now and then? It's a little bit of an unknown. So it depends. If the seller, meaning Shimon, the landowner, who's handing the mashkin to Reuben, the lender, is the one consuming the pears, you're safe and sound, there's no concern. He can eat the pears, mutter. But lekeach pears also, if the lekeach, the buyer, in this case, Reuben, the lender, is eating the pears, he can't. Because it might end up going back if he, repays the loan. In which case, it turns out that all those bananas that he ate were extra, were just interest for that loan. So even though it's just a possibility, it's still considered ribbis. Rabbi Daimer, no. It's just tzad echad. It's just a possibility of maybe. That's not really ribbis. Even if Reuben, the buyer, the lender, eats the pears, it's okay. In fact, I have a story to back it up. On Rabbi Yehuda Maisa, there's a story of Baisis ben Zayin, this fellow that he forwarded his field to his lender based on the instruction of Elazar ben Azariah. In fact, His lender ate the fruit, no problem. Related to Chacham respond, how you prove him there? Actually, the story was the opposite. Was the seller, meaning the landowner who was consuming the pears in interim, not the buyer. Okay, so what's the point of contention? As we explained, when it's not a confirmed ribis, it's just a possibility of ribis, is that considered asr? Might be nayu. Sad echad ribis ikibnayu. Situation which has a chance, a possibility of turning into ribis, such as in this case, if he ends up repaying the loan, getting back his field, so the bananas were just a free interest payment. Whereas if it defaults on the loan and it stays in the hands of the lender, so it's like a purchased field, it's not a ribis. So that's the point of machlokes. Tzadechad ribis ikibnayu. Tanakama savar tzadechad ribis asur. Chacham say even in this case it's considered ribis and it's asur. Rabbi Savar tzadechad ribis muti says it's okay, because it wasn't an agreed upon ribis, it was just a chance of perhaps turning out to become an extra payment, and that's not considered ribis. So according to Rabbi Yechon, that also resolves the apparent contradiction between the Mishnah, which says that the rent-free dwelling in the home is not really an issue of ribis, because initially it wasn't, definite that it will end up being an interest payment, whereas according to the Brisa, which says really it's ribis, but the Torah allows it, that's according to the Chachamim, that even this is considered running into interest. But the Torah makes an exception and allows it in this case. We turn to the case. Rabbi Amar says no way. He said all would agree that if ultimately he ends up with extra bananas, even though it wasn't confirmed initially to be so, that's awesome. If in fact it's within a loan arrangement context, such as in the case of the mashkin for the collateral for the loan. Rav Amar the Kuliyam all agree tzadechad ribis is asur. So why does Rabbi allow it in the case of the mashkin? We're not speaking that he's going to keep it. He promises to pay it back. Look, if you end up repaying the loan, I give you back the field, I'll send you a check in the mail for the bananas that I ate. And therefore, Rabbi says it's okay. Ultimately, he's not going to keep it. Rabban say no. He's taking it as ribis right now. That's an issue. The question is whether he can take it on condition that he will return it if he needs to. Mar savar aser, that's the Chachamim. Mar savar muta, that's Rabbi Yehuda. Furthermore, explains Rashi, that also explains the different approaches of our Mishnah, which says that the Batei Rechaima issue is not really an issue of ribis, versus the Brisa and the Gemara, which says here it's an exception, it's an anomaly, it's really ribis, but it's mutter. Explains Rashi, our Mishnah holds, even if generally, even a possibility of it turning out to ribis is asur, but that's when it's in a loan, arrangement context, such as in the mashkin case. But now Mishnah is selling him a home. He's not lending him money. It's a mecher. So Rashi, the way Rashi says it, I feel it's not even considered tzadechad. It's not even a possibility. It's not. It's teres mecher. Asal. He got it as a purchased home. So even if ultimately he'll buy it back and it'll turn out retroactively that he enjoyed it, that's not considered. There's no element of ribis in there. That's the Mishnah's approach, whereas the Brisa disagrees. Says no, ultimately he's going to benefit rent-free for money that he sort of loan. Retroactively, it turns out that it was really just a loan. Really, technically that's classified as ribis, but the Torah made an exception and allows it. So Reuben, the seller, passed away. His son can step in and redeem the home. Pshita, of course. I mean, why not? A son takes over for the father. It's his estate. Why shouldn't he also have the rights to buy it back? There's room to think. Torah says the man who sold it. So I would think you have to be the actual seller. The fact is he didn't sell it. The point is vasa gulasai. So that expression, the pasuk covers any relative, any inheritor. Mikol Malkim has the right to buy it back. No, likewise, the buyer passed away, you can go to his son and buy it back. Trita again, what's the chiddush? Of course, he takes over. All the time there's room to think. The Torah specifies. We're speaking about the buyer. The fact is he didn't buy it; it was his father. The point is vayse golasa, which is a general phrase referring to Mikol Malkim even buying it back from a heir. So Reuven sold a home to Shimon, who flipped it to Levi. When do we start counting the year? The answer is from the first sale. Tanur Rabbanan, how do I know? Pasuk says a full year. Shana, any idea im shana l'rishon, shana l'sheni. But in the case where there were two sales, do we count from the first or the second? Sho'emer ad melois loy shana tamima. So that pasuk is referring to the seller. Full year is up for the seller. Apparently, we're speaking about the first sale. Havi shana l'rishon. Now the question is, does Reuven still have a right? Does Shimon still have a right to buy back from Shimon? So the year is up vis-a-vis him and Shimon and Reuven, but the sale between Shimon and Levi that took place a bit later. Perhaps that year hasn't been up yet, and Shimon can still go and take it back from Levi within his year, right? So let me chalot. Who gets to chalot means who gets to keep it permanently? Whose year is up? Whose buyback option has expired? It's now for keeps to the first buyer. Right? The Rishon means the first buyer keeps it vis-a-vis his seller. So Shimon keeps it in terms of Reuven not being able to buy it back, but he can still turn around and buy it back from Levi because his year is not up. Rabbi Yechon Amar l'sheni chalot. He says actually Levi also keeps it now. The question is why? He's still in month 9, in terms of his purchase from Shimon. Explains the Morish Lemel Rabbi Lezer. I understand Rabbi Lezer's opinion that each sale has its own clock. Dil the day kamenina. We learned in the pasuk that it's it's personal. The year is personal. We right? It's your year. So each seller has his own year. And even though it's been a year since Shimon bought it from Reuven, but it's not been a year since Levi bought it from Shimon. So Shimon can still turn around and buy it back from Levi. How do we understand Rabbi Yochanan, who says that now Levi just keeps it permanently? It's only been 9 months since he bought it from Shimon. Amar Baba Bar Mamo. I'll tell you why. Because when Levi purchased from Shimon, he didn't just buy the actual field. He bought it with all its rights, perks and privileges. And basically, Shimon is taking over for Reuven. So when the first year is up, the year since the first purchase between Shimon and Reuven, and now it's sort of given to Shimon for keeps, that right gets transferred to Levi as well. And now he keeps it for good. Amar This is a term that we use many times in Shas. What did Reuven sell Shimon? Any rights that he'll receive. His current and future rights in this property. And since it's now permanently Shimon's, that right gets transferred to Levi as well, and it's his to keep. That comes another interesting riddle kind of case. We have two sales at different times. One house was sold earlier than the other. Okay, listen, the first one was sold earlier, and the year will be up for the second sale before the first sale. How's that? We're familiar with the trying to get to bar mitzvahs, right? A leap year, Chodesh Muberes. Amar Rabba Bar Mamel, Mochel Shnei Bote Arichim. Okay, imagine Reuven sold 2 homes in the walled city. Echad v'chamisha asar ba'adar rishon. The first was sold on day 15 of the first Adar, right? The extra leap month in a leap year. V'echad ba'adar sheni. V'echad ba'adar sheni. Home 2 was sold on the first day of the second Adar. Right? Which one will expire first? Which year is up first? The second one. So the home number 2, which was sold on the first day of the second Adar, come next year Adar, once it arrives, it's the first day of the Adar come year around, his year is up. But the other home will have another 2 weeks. The one that he sold on day 15 of the first Adar, come next year Adar, will have to wait until day 15 of that Adar. 2 weeks later than the other home. His year is not up until day 15 of the Adar next year. How could you say that? So first buyer can tell second buyer, so to speak, an expression. Look, I was ready my home for 2 weeks before you even thought of buying that house. And now your year is up before mine, and I have another 2 weeks to deal with the seller. Might want to buy it back. I mean, you're disadvantaging me. How's that fair? I was here first, and I have to wait longer than you to keep my house. I know Kodim. I started earlier. Shach and Nura, to strike the fire, to light the oven, to get things moving. I used the house 2 weeks before you Makama Didach. And now you're done before me, because you can tell them, look, it's all about calculations, it's all about the calendar. Remember, there was a Chodesh Ibar. So you purchased in the middle of that Adar, the extra Adar, the first Adar is considered the extra Adar apparently, that's called the Chodesh Ibar. At Nochas Libura. You went into that extra month, meaning your starting point was day 15 of that first Adar. So now, come next year, you have to wait until day 15 of the Adar as well, because as we learned before, Tmima went an extra month, when it's an extended year, it's a 13-month operation. So in your case, it'll be a full 13 months. As opposed to me, there's a gears on the side. I didn't go to the extra month, meaning I purchased on the first day of the second Adar. Okay, so now come next year around, it's exactly 12 months later, on the first day of the Adar, I'm done. Likewise, in terms of determining the age factor by the karbanis, so Bachar, for instance, has to be attended to within the year of his birth. So you can have 2 animals born at different times, and the one born later, his year is up earlier. Same story. So the farmer had 2 sheep born in his farm. The first one, day 15 of the first Adar. Then the second one, the first day of the second Adar. Which one's year is up first? The second one. Once he arrives at the first day of Adar next year around, his year is up. But his brother has to wait. The one that was born 15 of the first Adar, his year is not up until Purim of the next year. Once again, the same argument. So the older one can tell the younger one, look, I've been chewing the grass before you even thought of being born. I was eating greenery before you even were around. And your birthday precedes mine. I was eating the greenery before you, and now you're older than me. Because you can tell them the same point. Look, it's all about timing. It's all about the timing. You were submitted to the Chodesh HaIbur. I didn't. What's the point of repeating the same case again? Aren't they both rooted in the same point? Well, the Tema, there's room to think, perhaps we can differentiate. In contrast to the Bate ARACHIN, where it says Tmima, So I think we work with this, complete system with the Chodesh Me'ubar, Hachad L'ksiv Tmima, but as opposed to the age factor by the Bechor, where it doesn't say the word Tmima, so perhaps you don't have to add in the 13th month. Kamashman, the point is the Shana Madadi Gamri, they learn from each other. It says Shana here, Shana there. We compare notes. Shoyim Tmima, Rabbi Yomer Litan Shana Sibura, Tanaraban. Shana Tmima. Okay, a full year. Going to Rebbe, it means 365 days, no matter what year. Rabbi Yomer Moina Shalosh Meois V'Shishim V'Chamish Yom. You have to count 365 days. Kiminin Mesachama, as per the solar arrangement. V'Chacham Omer, no, it's all based on lunar. Boinesh Nemasach Chodesh Mem. Nesabra turns out to be an extended year. Fine, Nesabra Loi, he gets an extra month, but typically it's 12 months only, 354 days. Okay, 12 months are up. There's no buyback. He keeps it. The chalutin keeps it for good. Another halacha we learn from litzmisus, that this permanence applies even, that this whole buyback system applies even to a person who accepted a gift. My time. How do we know that it applies to a gift as well? It could have said samis. Tzmisus, plural, covers even a home given as a gift. Amuraban kabed Rav Papa. So the Chacham presented to Rav Papa that apparently this concept of equating a gift to a sale with respect to this procedure, Kiman, like who? Like Rameir. The Ikar Rameir, because according to Rameir, he clearly runs a wedge between a gift and a sale. The Ikar Rameir Amar, he tells us regarding the other halacha about the field coming back to the owner. At Yovel, he says a gift, it doesn't run that same track. Amar matana, a gift, it's not treated like a sale, and here we're treating it like a sale regarding this buyback option. Our papa, no, I feel Tamer Rameir. Certainly, our halacha granting the buyback option to a home gifted can apply even according to Rameir. Here it's different. Shanhacha, the Rabbi Rachman Lutzmis. Here we have a special pasuk Tzmisus to extend this buyback system to the matana as well. Amru Rabban Lar Papa. The Rabban responded to Rav Papa. V'amr Sam Servunvar B'Devishua responded to Rav Papa. Is it because of the extra pasuk that Ramei would agree? Look, by Yovel, returning the field to the owner in Yovel, it also has an extra pasuk Teshuva l'Rami Sayi Matana, which the Rabban applied to Matana. For Ramei doesn't agree. He says Matana is Matana, sale is sale. Don't mix the two, even if there's an extra pasuk. So presumably, we do the same over here. He would not allow the buyback option. He wouldn't apply it to Matana. You're right. The Mishnah, which applies the buyback process to Matana, is not like Rameir. He says, Matana runs its own track, unlike a sale. Tana Rabbanan. So all this is regarding a fellow who sold a bayis in a walled city. What about a person who was magdish, donated it to hekdesh? Does it run the same course? Buyback only until a year, after which it's for keeps. Tanarabon ha-magdish bayis. About the Rechaim, a person is magdish, the home in the walled city. There's no deadline to buying it back from hekdesh. Harei zegoyel miyad v'goyel la'olam. He can redeem it anytime he wants. Now let's say go'ala ya'achar miyad hekdesh. Suppose somebody else came and bought it back from the hekdesh. So does the original donor have a right to go and extract it from him anytime? Or is there in this case, a 12-month limit? Yeah. Higia, yeah, this idea of unlimited buyback is only while it's still in the hekdesh possession, but if somebody else got involved and bought it, now the 12-month clock starts clicking as well. 12 months show up and there was no buyback from this Shimon who bought it back from the hekdesh. Now it's Shimon's to keep. How do we know that it is so? Omar Shmuel, Omar Kra. Pasuk says, after a year, it's given for keeps to the buyer. So Lakoina means any buyer. whether you bought it directly from the owner or you bought it from the Hegdish after the owner failed to buy it back from Hegdish. Asks the Gemara, but in absence of a buyer, Hegdish does not keep it forever. You can always buy it back from Hegdish. Why doesn't Hegdish keep it forever? Makrol de Risaf, for your generations, for your descendants. Yotza Hegdish only there, as opposed to Hegdish has no descendants. So this idea of keeping it permanently is only to a private buyer. The pasuk continues, Lo yitzeh b'yovel, but it doesn't leave yovel. Lamali, what's the point? It already says it sits to keep. Of course, it doesn't give it up yovel time. Amar Safra, it's coming to add another case. Like Nisruch is needed for the following case. El lamoicher bayis, we're speaking about Reuben has sold, the home in the walled city to Shimon. And before the year was up, Yovel arrives. Yovel arrives within that first year. Prior to that chalita taking place, Salka that perhaps is room to think, Lipik b'Yovel. You should give it up. Come Yovel. Kamashmon lo yitzeh b'Yovel. Come the pasuk and says no. That he doesn't have to give it up. Doesn't have to give it up unless the seller buys it back. And this is despite that it hasn't really been solidified yet. It hasn't really been granted to the buyer for all time because it's still sort of pending. Nevertheless, unless he buys it back, the buyer keeps it. Okay, so let's just recap. We have a fellow sold a bayis, in a house in a walled city. So the process is like this. You can buy it back right away. According to Rabbi, he has to wait 2 days. According to Rabbi, you can buy it back right away, up until 12 months. And 12 months here is calculated based on his 12 months, based on the first sale, irrespective of any subsequent sales. And the 12 months is not calendar months. It's to the day, to the hour. What about a Yishana Muberes? According to Rabban, you add the 13th month. According to Rabbi, it's always going to be a 365-day year. Is there any ribbis concern? So in the Mishnah, we say no, it's not really a ribbis issue. In the Brisa, we do consider it a ribbis issue with an exemption. Tereti Rasai, we had two ways to explain. Either it's linked to that machlekes regarding the field that was given as a mashkin, where the lender eats the paris in the interim. Tzad echad b'ribbis, just a chance of ribbis. Is that an issue? Yes, no. That's the machlekes here as well. According to Rava, the discussion there is not regarding tzad echad, it's regarding lahachzer. He tends on repaying it. Is that an issue? And respective, our Mishnah holds it's not an issue at all because we're talking anyways not about a loan at all. We're talking about a mecher, which according to our Mishnah does not have any issue of ribbis. We had some interesting riddles where a fellow bought second, but his year expires first. The same thing with the sheep, who experiences a happy birthday earlier than his counterpart who was born before him. And that's because of the Chodesh Me'uber configuration. All these concepts only apply to selling to a private person, but regarding Hegdish, you can buy it back without any limitation. All the best to you, and that's L'cha Rama.